Your gut health has everything to do with your overall level of mood and happiness. So why not take care of the gut?
So come on and check yourself before you wreck yourself.
All right, this episode, we're going to talk about the important subject of gut health, your microbiome. Why is that so important? So I'm going to take you way back to conception. So when an egg and a sperm meet, the first tissue formed is a neural tube. That's your brain and cord, spinal cord. From the brain and spinal cord, the neural tube, the second set of tissue formed is the enteric brain, which is the gut system, okay? So it's really, really important you understand the direct connection between the gut and brain axis. Why is gut health so important to your overall health? Well, for starters, the gut produces 10 times more neurotransmitter than the brain. So what does that mean? You hear people that are clinically diagnosed as depressed or anxiety-filled or sometimes bipolar. They say there's a chemical imbalance. Well, so you know there is no blood test that can determine if somebody is truly neurotransmitter deficient. And by the way, there's more than one neurotransmitter, okay? There's many. So in order for an individual to be specifically properly diagnosed of a deficiency in neurotransmitter, all they do is ask a questionnaire and they guess what you may be lacking in, but they're not sure. So I say this, your gut health has everything to do with your overall level of mood and happiness. So why not take care of the gut? There are certain things that may injure the gut. So let's start there. What injures the gut? Foods laden with chemicals. So processed foods is your mortal enemy. So I personally love a good bag of Doritos back in the day. I don't dare touch it anymore because if you flip the bag over and you read the label of Doritos, you cannot pronounce the majority of the chemicals that are in a bag of Doritos, but it sure tastes good, doesn't it? Well, think about this. If you eat toxin-filled food every day, pretty much all day, what happens to the gut health? It trashes the gut health and causes micro tears. So your gut cannot properly absorb nutrients of good food that you eat because it has too much injury to the tissue. So besides processed food that has chemical preservatives, flavorings, and additives, words that you can't pronounce, so learn to start reading labels of all the foods you eat. Processed means they took a food and transformed it into a long shelf life food by adding chemicals. So it has no nutritional value for you. Fast food falls into that category. So that's the number one thing that can damage your gut. Second thing is alcohol. So I'm not telling you guys can never have a cocktail. What I'm saying is if you're regularly drinking alcohol, it's going to injure your gut. Again, it's going to affect the way your mood is. So have you ever had a situation where you're at a party and you drink a bit too much and you're like, oh, I feel like poop the next day. That's because your gut's injured. It's tired because it got fried the day before with alcohol and bad food. So be careful on that, easy on that. Another thing that can cause gut toxicity is a lot of seed oils. So fried foods. So foods that are in from restaurants, boy oh boy, it's filled with seed oil like sapphire oil, corn oil, canola oil. All of that is horrible for your gut health. So you're like, well, what can I use then? The only oil that I advocate frying anything in is avocado oil. Here's why. Avocado oil is an oil that stays healthy and not polyunsaturated when it hits boiling point. All other oils, including olive oil, turn into polyunsaturated. It becomes pro-inflammatory when you ingest it in a hot form. So olive oil is healthy cold, but unhealthy hot. Just keep that in mind. So you want to make sure the food and liquids that you're ingesting is not harming your gut. So in order for your gut to repair, what can you take? Number one, some good probiotics and prebiotics. What's that? Well, probiotics are good bacteria. And if you're taking the type, you get it at a regular market that has long shelf life, you're eating dead probiotics. It's not going to do you any good. The better kind to take is a refrigerated kind, either in capsule form or liquid form, okay? Prebiotics are foods that feed the good bacteria. So, being of Korean heritage, I can totally vouch for some kimchi, okay? It's fermented spicy cabbage. Love it. Now, if you're not one for spicy food, I would recommend pickles is good. Sauerkraut is another one. Anything vegetables that are fermented is good for you. Definitely not a fan of yogurt and or kefir, dairy products, to take the place of fermented foods for gut health. So another thing you can take is a amino acid. It's called L-glutamine. L-glutamine taken in 2,000 to 5,000 milligrams a day will help repair the gut, the lining of the gut, so that your gut can start absorbing nutrients properly. You can get it in powder form typically and put it in a glass of water and drink it once in the morning, drink it once at nighttime. So I really encourage you to start thinking about your gut health. What are you eating and drinking that may be harming it? And what are you eating and drinking that may be helping it? Start paying attention. If you're having some issues with mood, like if you're feeling yourself down a lot, chances are you're not taking in enough nutrients for your mood to be up. A simple fix. So I'm going to talk about a study Duke University did. They had 100 subjects that were diagnosed with clinical depression. Group A was a placebo group, meaning sugar pill. Group B was a SSRI group, or serotonin reuptake inhibitor group, which is Prozac. Group C was diet and exercise. So after 30 days in the clinical trials, the only group that were no longer clinically depressed was the diet and exercise group. So I really encourage you, if you're having a poopy mood, start sweating, start eating some kimchi, and cut out any of the processed foods, fried foods, and alcohol for 30 days and see what happens. I think you'll see a really good result.